stay tuned because for the next 60 minutes, Motorsports Unlimited is on the air. Hi, I'm Jerry Bryant, and these are the lovely ladies of motorsports. And all this hour, we're going to have 60 minutes of action-packed excitement. All kinds of exciting things will happen. And we got the famous Bill Wildt, and we got all kinds of other good stuff that's happening all this hour. Motorsports Unlimited, 60 minutes of non-stop action. So let's go to the studio right now, huh?
Thanks, Jerry, and hi, everybody. Welcome to the studio headquarters of Chicagoland's most watched, most talked about Access television series. I'm Samantha Bentley, and this is the 1004th edition of Motorsports Unlimited. It's time for the annual Lincoln Park Savings Bank Car Show. Folks, Lincoln Park Savings Bank Car Show always features a variety of entertainment, and this year it's Patty Elvis headlining, supported by two other sensational musical presentations. There is way too much going on for me to explain, so let's join Bill, he talks faster, and find out what this year's event has to offer.
Well, once again, we are at the annual Lincoln Park Savings Bank annual car show, and this is one of those things that I am particularly pleased about because I've said over and over again, I don't know why they don't have more of these local summer car shows in Chicago. In fact, all the people from Chicago go out to the suburbs for the local summer car shows, and it's really not necessary. Let me give you an example. Chuck, widen your shot and pan over to the right, and what I want the audience to see is that, yes, we've got a ton of cars here, but take a look in the upper part of the picture. There's buildings, including 3 flats and 4 flats and 6 flats all around here, so it proves that this can be done right in the middle, right in the heart of Chicago. And we are, as a matter of fact, in the heart of the north side of Chicago. You couldn't have more of a heart of a neighborhood than we have right here, right?
Oh, it's the best area, I'll tell you.
Okay, we are at the corner of Lincoln, Damon, and Irving. Right. And the reason I know that is because we did a little motorcycle ride exploring Route 19, which is Irving Park Road, all the way from the lakefront. And now where does it end?
Route 19? I have no idea.
See, he's got to watch the show more, folks. It ends in Elgin at Route 25. And in any event, we pointed out on the way that the Lincoln Park Savings Bank was right here. What I'm trying to say is that all car shows, I've said this so many times, have their own character. If you go to something like the Joliet Father's Day Car Show, where they spent a couple $100,000 on it, and fireworks and bands and mud bog and drag boats on the river and all of the rest of it, to the charm of the Lions Father's Day Car Show, which is right in the residential streets, to something like this, right in the heart of the north side. If you knew Chicago at all, you'd know Irving, Damon, Lincoln is the heart of the north side of Chicago. You can do a summer car show. Maybe you guys don't want the competitors. I shouldn't be saying all this, right?
Yeah, we welcome competitors. If it makes the hobby get more popular, why not?
Absolutely. Tell the folks who you are.
I'm Pete Volpe with Lincoln Park Savings.
And I will bet the audience doesn't even have to be told now because Chuck, give us a nice two-shot here. Could these guys be more obvious father and daughter? And you are?
Laura Volpe.
And you've seen Laura on Motorsports Unlimited before. Laura's a singer and a performer. And as a matter of fact, you just told me something, that you do the great Etta James At Last song.
Yes, I do. I'm doing it today.
Okay. This is the one I want to get on tape. She does a lot of songs. She performs here. As a matter of fact, you have a variety of performers. You've had the Route 66 singers, and last year, I'm trying to think of the Elvis impersonator he had, but do you recall?
I don't recall his name.
He was quite good, though.
Yeah, we have another good one this year, though, Elvis impersonator. We actually have Patty Elvis this year.
Sounds like a female impersonator.
Female Elvis impersonator. And then we've got my daughter Laura singing, and we also have the Tim's and Jim's show, which is a couple gentlemen to play acoustic guitar. In fact, Jim Calbocas is a vice president of our bank also, and he'll be in that group. So
extremely talented. There's
he's very modest. He's incredible.
Shouldn't be. Just an incredibly, in any event. So this particular show has a charm all of its own. First of all, right in the heart of the north side of Chicago. Second of all, the guy that the henchman here, what's your position here at the bank?
I'm a vice president here.
He's a vice president. He also, the way we met him is he had a 442 Oldsmobile. You actually are a participant in car shows.
Oh, all the time, yeah. I just sold it this year, but I'll have another toy soon.
Okay, so part of the charm of this is the people that operate the bank actually either our show participants or performers in the show.
We make them car guys. It's a requirement for employment.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's very cool. Listen, this thing has gotten bigger and bigger every year. I've spotted some antique cars over there that just blow.
Oh.
There's a 1911 Ford Road. Did you see it?
I did, yeah. We were thrilled when we saw the cars that registered this year. We got an incredible number of different cars this year. So it's not the same cars every year.
Well, the shows grow every year. There's no question about it. And as a matter of fact, seniority counts and everything. And I keep waiting for you guys because you've got 3 parking lots and you're filling them up. And I'm waiting to see what you do when all of a sudden you've got enough for 6 parking lots.
Well, we're ready for it. We've been speaking with the Alderman Schulter. He's been great with helping us out. We got the alley permit today to block off the alleys. And all we got to do is bring out the cars, and we'll get the street blocked soon.
I think that's great. So this thing is here forever.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, anything else you want to tell the audience before we get rolling here? I've got a ton to cover. Fortunately, great weather. You got lucky on the weather. It rained all day yesterday. Anything else that you want to tell folks before we get underway?
Just keep your eyes open for all the events that Lincoln Park Savings Bank does. We do a number of different things for our neighborhood and our community. We do a large dog show called Dogs on Damon, where we have over 200 dogs a weekend adopted for 10 different shelters. We do community festivals. We sponsor this car show, and everybody who brings their car out here, they don't have to pay anything for it. We give
That's the part I was hoping you'd get to.
Yes, everything's free. We give them a free lunch. We've got over 40 trophies we're giving out. We've got raffles that go on through the day. We've got 3 different bands entertaining.
And
it's all
doesn't
free.
cost a dime.
It's all free.
But now we know that most of the summer car shows are free for the spectators. In fact, I would say probably almost all of them are free to the spectators unless it's some kind of a fundraiser or something. But on the other hand, there's always a registration fee, a sign-up fee for the participants. This place, no sign-up fee, and you feed them.
Absolutely. Matter of fact, this year it's burger, fries, and a Coke from next door.
I think, listen, I absolutely love what they do here, and I think they kind of serve as an example for other areas in the city of Chicago. We know we do the Retro on Roscoe car show. I'm sure you're familiar with the Retro on Roscoe show. That's another one that proves it can be done. I'm not saying it's easy, but if you work real hard at it and get the kind of cooperation these guys have from the local politicians, everything, it really can be done. And this is just a wonderful, wonderful kind of an activity to bring folks into your neighborhood. Anyway, we are going to get started now. We're going to look forward to seeing Laura a little bit later on in the program, doing At Last, one of my favorite. You know, you got to live up to an awful lot with Eddie James. You know that?
Oh, yes, I do.
She's incredible.
She'll smoke her.
Oh, boy, I don't know, Etta James. Anyhow, folks, we're going to get underway now. The Lincoln Park Savings Bank Car Show 2006.
It sounds like there is much to show you, so we'd better hurry and get started. Hi, I'm Patty Borowitz, and before we get to the musical entertainment, let's check out some fine cars, like this great antique Ford Bill mentioned.
Of course, you know that I had to start with this one. This may be the oldest antique car that we've ever had on Motorsports Unlimited, and it is absolutely in beautiful shape. And when I say beautiful shape, this is the most rare and most valuable of all because it doesn't look like it's been redone. It is absolutely gorgeous, and guess what? I've got a beautiful girl with it. What a rare thing that was. I expected it to be an older guy. First of all, you are.
I'm Terry Cada.
And where are you from, Terry?
Chicago here, the Wrigleyville area.
Okay, tell us about your car. What have we got here?
This is a 1911 yellow Ford Roadster. It's got beautiful brass fixtures on it. The headlights are gas lit lights. You've got a brass radiator, and then you've got these fabulous little carriage lights on the sides of the car and in the back that are oil lamps.
Those
kerosene.
are oil lamps. So these are gas
Kerosene.
in the front and kerosene lamps in the back?
Right.
Okay, and how about the windshield? Does that provide you with any adequate protection?
That one I don't see how. It's a 15-inch monocle windshield. The car's got beautiful wooden frame and wooden dash. It's a very unique style of clutch system and gears, if you would.
Right, this is the Model T Ford system, and it's
Right.
weird. We've done it on Motorsports Unlimited before. We're not going to try to do it again, but the pedals are where 3 of them, like you would expect on a manual transmission
Right.
cars, but they do different things than the ones
Yes.
that you're familiar with, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Now, have you driven it or no?
I have not got to drive it yet. We're still working on getting it back running because they've sat for too long without being started.
Really a shame. Now,
Yeah.
the car looks very original to me, is it?
Yes, yes. Everything that you see on it is original to the best of my knowledge. And you can tell, like, some of the wood and, like I said, on the kerosene lamps and things like that, the brass. There's a lot of stamping on here of the Ford logo as well as the companies that made these for Ford, the different parts of the car.
These things must be incredibly valuable by now.
Well, we're hopeful.
Yeah. And matter of fact, we should say that apparently the owner of these cars passed away, and you
Yes.
just got them here displaying them, looking for
Right.
buyers and things like that.
Absolutely, right.
So
We're
you're
looking to have
sort of
a
an agent here then.
Yes, kind of a good friend agent. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not very
Well,
professional.
let me take advantage of the fact that we've got this car here.
Okay.
Just one thing I want to show the audience. Chuck, can you get a shot at the front suspension of the car? And I'm talking about the transverse leaf spring. Can you see that at all? Is that visible in your shot? And folks, we mentioned on Motorsports Unlimited before transverse leaf spring, especially when we're talking about early midgets and all that. And it's just something I want to point out. This is a leaf spring in here, and is that visible, Chuck? I'm pointing the right direction. This is a spring that goes, when we say a transverse leaf spring, it goes across the car this way rather than the more normal leaf springs they use in the back of the cars where they'd be one on each side going this way. This was done in the very early days of cars, hasn't been done that way in many, many years. Also notice on this is 1911. There are no shock absorbers. Now, just following this, maybe in a couple of years, they would have come up with the lever action friction shock absorbers, which were essentially little metal discs with leather pieces in between them, and you tighten them or loosen the amount of shock control you want. This was actually preceded that, and of course there are no front brakes in 1911. In fact, at the time in 1911, people thought if you put front brakes on the car would flip over upside down and go into the drink. Who would have ever thought they'd figure out eventually that the front brakes are the most important brakes on a vehicle? You can step back in here. I didn't mean to. We never chase the pretty girls out of the camera shots. Now, I understand. Listen, this is a great car, and I'm going to resist the temptation of doing the entire program with the 3 cars that she's got here, but she's got 3 great cars. This was the first one. I said, we've got to get this on the air, but you've got a couple more here, right?
Yes, I do. I have a.
We're going to move our cameras
right.
so that we can do justice to them. Don't go away, folks. We're coming right back.
Boy, what a find. Hi, I'm Janine Lauschat, and as I understand it, all 3 great antique cars Terry brought have been sitting in a garage a few blocks from this location for years. Let's check out the next one.
Well, our antique car aficionados know right away that we're looking at a little later model car. For one thing, you've got the temperature gauge and the radiator cap, which would be sort of an advancement from the earlier 1911. And believe it or not, in those days, this was considered an advancement. What have we got here?
This is a 1928 Model A Ford. It's a buttercream yellow with the brown fenders, and it's beautifully upholstered. This vehicle was actually driven in the movie, the filming of The Untouchables here in Chicago. I think it was in the late 80s.
Fully documented?
Fully documented, yes. We've got all kinds of information about that. It's a 4-door, which is not as common as a lot of the 2-door Model A's. And in the back seat, there's actually little crystal vases up there for flowers.
There was a time when the automobile was a romance, and there are very few left that are still a romance, so I think that's kind of nice. Chuck, if you can, I'd like you to come down. Can you get into the left front or the right front wheel there? I want to show the audience there were brakes in 1928, and I'm going to tell you something about the Model A that you probably don't know. The Model A is probably, of all antique cars, probably the most popular of antique car collectors. And do you know what the reason is?
No.
The reason is because these were the most drivable of all of the. They made a ton of them, and while they made more Model Ts, the Model Ts were really not up to today's roads. They didn't have front wheel brakes on them. They didn't have a proper transmission, all that. The Model A was considerably more sophisticated and capable of running at 50-mile-an-hour highway speeds, and people drive them in tours all over the country and all that. And there are still lots of parts availability. Now, you wouldn't think from 1928, would you?
No, that's amazing, because I do love antiques, and it's hard to find things that are that old.
It really is. Well, there's a lot, because the Model A is so popular. There's lots of aftermarket companies that produce a lot of the perishable pieces and all that. So it is quite possible for a person with the Model A to actually use the car, and that's why they've become the most popular of all of the antiques.
They're gorgeous cars.
They really, you know, we've said it so many times on our program, the fun thing about cars, and I don't care if we're talking about a Model A or if we're talking about a 53 Buick, it takes you back to a different time. There is a joy to sitting in it and riding in it. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt about it. I mean, it just brings about a whole different mentality in people while you're in it. It transports you.
As we've said so many times on Motorsports Unlimited, they're more than cars.
They sure are. They represent touchstones in the history of our country. Let's check out the final car Terry had on display.
And once again, folks, we see that we have moved up significantly in years because we no longer have an open radiator, nor do we have a temperature meter on top of the radiator cap itself. In fact, we've got bodywork fully covering it, so we are in a much newer era car. Once again, I want you to reintroduce yourself to the audience because it's been a while now. Somebody joined us late.
Hi, I'm Terry Cada. I live in the Chicago area here, very close to where we house these cars.
Okay, please tell us what we've got here.
This one is a 1935 Chevy Master Deluxe, and it's got the suicide doors on it, and it's quite a classic here. As you said, it's got the running boards with it, and it's just a much more modern version than the previous two that we looked at.
And once again, to get in a car like this and drive it takes you to another place.
Oh, absolutely. But where that one is a more classic, like from the flapper era, this one's starting to move up in time to a much more fun hot rod kind of.
And performance.
Absolutely.
Sure. If you started with, Chuck, I can see we don't have people crowding around right at the moment. If you started in something like this, a 1911 car, you get a certain kind of experience. I will say this with affection. A certain kind of contraption, kind of a feel to it, because they were just inventing cars at the time, trying to figure out how to do it. And when you move up to the Model A, of course, now we're getting into the Model A's. We're probably, forgive me, Model T. I love the Model T as a basis for a traditional American street rod, but it really wasn't a real usable car. As a matter of fact, the Model A was what I considered the first really usable car, and that's why they're so popular with collectors. And then, Chuck, if you bring your camera shot back over here, now we get into really a much more advanced, civilized kind of car that people, because by the 1930s, we started having real roads, so the cars didn't have to be so high off the ground and all of that. In any event, a little walk. I saw these three cars here. I said, what a treasure. We've got all three of them in a line, and I want to thank you for taking the time to spend with us.
Thank you so much.
Anything you want to tell us about them before we take off? One thing you should mention, this one has a true stick shift, meaning a clutch, a brake, the whole thing, and the floor shift.
That is true.
Now, have you driven any of these?
I have not got to drive them because we've been having a little challenge with the batteries because they haven't been started in about a year and a half.
That's a shame. These things
I
shouldn't
know.
be. This one, folks.
meant to be
If
driven.
if you wonder about, we talk about this on the show all the time. Every once in a while, we run into somebody that finds a treasure. As I understand it, these three cars, a 1911, a 1928, and a 1930, are all within 4 or 5 blocks here of the Lincoln Park
Yes.
Savings Bank.
Absolutely.
So somewhere in Chicago, there are great cars to be found in some of these garages.
Absolutely. They've
Okay.
been in hiding for a little while now.
Boy, I wish I knew where they were.
One would think in this day and age, every antique car hiding in garages and barns around the country would have already been found. Not so, as you just saw. Now, we promised earlier Laura Volpe was going to perform the classic Etta James song, At Last. What we didn't say was she was taking on quite a challenge by doing it in the third Lincoln Park Savings Bank parking lot. That's right, folks. The cars on display were arranged in 3 parking lots, and the bank didn't want anyone to feel left out. So, from the third and most remote lot, Miss Laura Volpe.
Center finished her rendition of At Last when Bill and Chuck received word the Tim's and Jim's show was getting underway in the first parking lot. They got there just in time to enjoy a little of their performance.
One more tune. We want to thank you all for coming out. Stay tuned for Patty Elvis Band.
Savings Bank keeps things hopping all day with a variety of entertainment. But this is Motorsports Unlimited, and we don't want to forget the great cars on display.
Now this is what I call an automobile. The first car that I had as a youngster that actually ran and I could drive it. I had many before that didn't run that I just worked on and couldn't drive, but my first driving car was a 1952 Cadillac Fleetwood four-door. And we were just chatting before we went on with this interview, and I talked about how the power windows wouldn't go up, and guess what? He's had more than his share of the trouble with the power windows. First of all, tell the folks who you are.
Lee Bailey, my wife Ann.
Oh, I bet she can do it all by herself. Tell us who you are.
Hi, I'm Ann Bailey.
Where are you from, Ann?
Melrose Park.
Now, whose car is it? Who can tell me about it?
Lee can. Lee.
Well, you always chase me over there. Tell me, what do we got?
It's a 52 Caddy convertible, model 62. It's like 100% original. The engine's been warmed over a little bit, but it's been a ground up.
You actually went into a 52 Cadillac engine?
Yeah, I boarded out 30,000s and it's been ported and polished, balanced, just because it's a heavy car and I want to get a little bit more performance, which is not a race car, just that, you know, it's a heavy car. And we're on the highway, it's
so
super.
Let me see, the way you justify this is by saying it's a heavy car. Not that it's going to be a fast car, not that it's going to be a hot rod or anything, but
exactly.
you had to find a reason to go into the engine.
Yeah, well, it had to be rebuilt, so I just went to 30,000s over. And,
I'm only teasing. I'm trying to get the audience to understand the motorsport community's mentality.
Yeah, well, you know, it helped. It helped a lot. And, you know, you might as well do it. You know, normally these old engines got to be bored anyway, so 30,000s is, you know, it's a minimum.
Okay, as I understand it, you went through a complete ground-up restoration on it.
Yes.
You did it yourself?
I did 90% of the work except paint job and the interior, but body work and everything else I did.
Well, are you a body man professionally?
No, it's just a hobby. I do this all. I've been doing it for many, many years.
And how much do you help?
Very little.
No, she helps a lot.
Well, I help lead the brakes.
Yeah.
You pump the pedal, right?
Yeah.
And he yells.
Yes.
Yeah, basically. Junkyard, she goes with me to junkyards and whatever.
Now, the audience will perhaps remember that we had you on the show last year,
Yeah,
and you
with
had your
my
whole
Mercury.
family here, and you had a variety of different cars. What did you have?
Yeah, I had a 40 Merc convertible with a big block in it, and my son had a 29 Model A with a small block Ford in it. And this one wasn't here because no one could drive it down there at the time.
And you guys identified yourselves as the Bailey
Bunch.
Bailey Bunch or Bailey Clan, I
Bailey
don't know.
Bunch.
From
Melrose Park.
the Bailey Bunch from Melrose Park.
I guess.
I remember that. And somehow you got your wife to attend again.
Oh, I can't keep her home. She always goes with me.
Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
You know, she's
I
my
enjoy
best
the
buddy.
cars.
Pardon me?
I enjoy the cars and the car show.
What part do you like? Are you into the cars and the technology, or are you into the camaraderie and the people?
Camaraderie.
A little bit of both.
Oh, you like it both? huh?
Yes.
Well, listen, anything we haven't mentioned about your car that you'd like the audience to know that I've omitted?
No.
Well, Chuck, show the audience the car again. This is one heck of a nice ride. I remember mine, and you wanted to add.
Yes, that he's taken Best of Show a couple of times with it.
Oh, it's a great car. I can understand that. And real quick before we go, power window problems. You have them too.
I do. I've changed them twice now, and
tell
I
the audience why it's a problem on these cars. The design of the system.
Yeah, it's hydraulic.
It's a hydraulic system, and they always leak. And
and it's really a pain in the neck to change these things. It's a lot of work.
Huge job. Mine never got changed. It sat. I had it during the summer, and it was my driver. Then in the winter, of course, the windows didn't go up, and the snow got in it. By the end of the winter, that was the end of the car. It's too bad. I feel bad about it now. Anyhow, can I put you to work for a moment?
Sure.
You remember how to do this, I'm sure. Chuck, you know what I want you to do, okay? Pull it back and step right in front of your great car one more time. Look at our camera, and I want you to say,
Don't go away, folks. We'll be right back.
The Bailey Bunch from Melrose Park, a family who knows how to enjoy a car show. Now, when Bill and Chuck were in the third parking lot taping Laura Volpe's singing At Last, they noticed an exquisite traditional American street rod and wanted to make sure you had a chance to check it out.
poor Chuck, we have gone back and forth from the bank itself to what they call the third lot. This is the third parking lot, which is the furthest one away from the bank. It's only about a block. It's not that big of a deal unless you're dragging a complete video gear setup, which is what we're doing. But the last few years when we've been here, we've sort of ignored the third lot here because we get all tied up by the cars at the bank and the cars at the next lot over, and we never get down here, and I feel like these guys get left out. So I walked down here, and when I saw this incredible 34 Ford street rod, I says, I don't care how much walking we got to do, and Chuck agreed. We're going to go down and make sure we get that on the air. First of all, you are?
Brian Cabero.
Where are you from, Brian?
Naperville.
And you are?
Don Cabero from Naperville.
Okay, I understand this is your car.
Yes.
Did you build it or did you buy it?
No, we built it from the ground up.
No.
Yes.
You and your son?
Well, we did most of it, and then we sent the body out to Barker Gang Hot Rod Shop in Rockville, Indiana for the paint and final body work, yeah.
But you worked with your dad on this?
Yes, I built the engine for him, and I did some of the suspension.
How old are you?
18.
Okay, you have no way of knowing. I hope you save a tape of this, because 30 years from now, you're going to play the tape back and you are going to treasure the time that you spent building a car with your father. I'm sure right now it means nothing, but you know what I mean.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Is there anything better than working on a car project with your son?
No, nothing's better than that.
Yeah, no, again, he's too young to understand it, but I see it more than enough to know how important that is. Tell us about it. What have we got?
We've got a 34 three-window coupe. It's got a John Barrett hot rod engine. It's 489 cubic inch, 550 horse, 600 pounds of torque. It's got a TPI Performance 4-speed trans in it, 9-inch.
You got a manual trans in here?
Auto.
Oh, auto trans, okay.
TPI Performance 700 R4. It's got a 9-inch narrowed Curry rear end in it, and it's got 39 inches of tire in the back end. It's got a track locator. It's got air conditioning, low pressure tire monitoring system. It's pretty well decked out.
Do you actually use the car?
Weekends only, occasionally. Nice weather.
You do drive it?
Oh yeah, we do drive it. We just finished it about 4 months ago, and I've got about 400 miles on it.
Interesting thing, big block, very unusual to put a big block in the early traditional American street rods because there's not a lot of room in the engine compartments. Why'd you go the big block?
It's faster.
It's a tire smoker, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I bet this thing will melt the hides, and I don't care how wide they are.
Yeah, it gets a little squirrely if you step on it, yeah.
How long have you guys been working on the project?
17-month project.
Oh, you guys work quick.
Yeah.
What do you do for a living?
I have a Goodyear shop up at Grand and Nordica.
Okay,
just,
but it's not really body shop related or anything?
No. But I didn't do body. Like I said, Barker Gang Hot Rod Shop in Rockville fitted the body for me. I tried, but I'm not a body man. I do mechanics.
Well, how 34 Ford, is this a steel car or a glass car?
It's a glass car. I didn't want to chop up a real steel body. I mean, the glass has come a long way from when it started out. Yeah.
Let me make my speech on that. Take a look at the car. Chuck, show the audience the car. This is exactly the right approach. There will be no more 34 Fords. We don't chop up 34 Fords anymore to make hot rods, especially when you can make a better hot rod with the glass cars that are produced now. I personally think you end up with straighter lines, cleaner lines, a quieter car inside. I think you end up with a superior car and you don't chop up an irreplaceable antique.
That's exactly how I felt. And with a fiberglass, you could do a lot of different things, like we put in the shark gill louver vents down the side and the billet running strips instead of the black mats. I just wanted to change it up than a stock 34. It had to be different.
Right, and you don't want to, you don't hesitate to modify these parts because they're no longer antique parts. These are glass parts.
Exactly. I mean, you can do what you want with them and make your own car instead of just having what everybody else has. You get to dress it up with whatever you want to do.
It's an incredible piece of work, a true standout. And my question to you is this your first car project?
Yes.
No.
Yes. First car.
Unbelievable. That's amazing. Now, I'm going to just tell you something that's going to find interesting. It would surprise me if this were your kind of a car. My guess is at your age you'd be thinking Subaru WRX or maybe Mitsubishi Evo, something like that, or no?
Nah, Cutlass 442 or 70 Chevelle SS.
Really? So even at your age you have an appreciation for the muscle cars?
Yeah, dude, we're planning on building one next for me.
Is that, you guys got another car project planned?
Pretty soon.
You're the perfect guy to ask then, since this is your first car project and you did it with your son and had just, that's as good as anybody's been doing it their entire life. You want to do a second one?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I'm not sure what yet. Maybe a 37.
Well, he already knows.
Well, he wants the 70 Chevelle. I did the one behind us here over the winter time. I did the drivetrain and engine in this one too.
So you're a mechanic then, or?
Yeah, I own a Goodyear store up at...
But a Goodyear store, that wouldn't suggest me being a mechanic.
We do a lot more than what your normal shop does. We do all of this silly stuff too.
Okay, well, I'll tell you something. You talk about guys that know about cars. This is the first car project, father and son project. And by the way, we're about to close. Is there anything I haven't noticed about your car you'd like the audience to know?
No, that's pretty much it.
Interior's fabulous.
Thank you.
Who did that?
Barker Gang Hot Rod Shop did the interior for me.
Absolutely gorgeous. Once again, Chuck, show the audience the car. This is a father and son project done in 17 months. Their first one.
If there is a record for how well a first car project can turn out, that one has to have it. It was exceptional. As Bill and Chuck finished up, word reached them headliner Patty Elvis was hitting the main stage.
CC Rider, we'll see what you have done. I said CC Rider, we'll see what you have done. Well, you made me love you, and now you know that it's gone. That's what I say. Well, I'm going away, baby, and I won't live no more. Hey, I'm going away, baby, and I won't live no more. If I find me a new love, I wanna be back at all. That's what I say. Let's welcome you to the car show. No more. Yeah, I'm going away, baby, and I won't hear that no more. If I find me a new girl, I wanna back that up. That's what I say. Just let's see Rider, we'll see what you have done. Just let's see Rider, we'll see what you have done. You made me love you. That's what I say. Was a Z, was a Z Rider, was a Z, was a Z Rider. Just that Z Rider, just that Z Rider, just that Z.
She's incredible. More Patty Elvis later. Right now, it's back to the cars.
That insignia represents one of the oddest engines that General Motors ever brought into production. Not odd in that there was anything wrong with it. It's just that General Motors had, at that time, the incredible 327 Chevy small block engine, and probably the most popular engine ever used for anything ever, from school buses to Impalas to high-performance cars to stock cars at every racetrack in the country and all the rest of it. And for some reason, Pontiac, part of the same General Motors family, came out with their own 326 V8, 1 cubic inch difference, and not a very much different engine. That was not the most unusual thing about this car. There was something else that was very unusual. We'll get all of that in a minute. First of all, you are?
John Norwood.
Where are you from, John?
Chicago.
And you are? Your name?
Norwood, Jack Norwood.
Your son? How old are you?
11.
11? Okay, who can best tell me about the car?
I guess I could.
Go right ahead.
It's a 1963 Pontiac Le Mans transaxle. It's got a 3-speed in it.
That's an yeah, no, 3-speed wouldn't have been unusual with that, I don't think.
Well, so most are automatics.
Okay, the odd thing about this car, before you go past that, because we know it's got the 326 V8 there was a Pontiac engine only in Pontiac automobiles, and only for a very short period of time the 326 was around. But the interesting thing about this car, in my judgment, was the flexible drive shaft and the transaxle.
Right, yes, it's independent.
Yes, it's a fully independent suspension car, and when we're talking about the drive shaft is like a big speedometer cable. It's not a straight drive shaft like what you're used to looking at, to give it a lower floor, and then the transaxle, which means the transmission is in the back on the rear axle to give the car better balance. They went through really a lot of engineering work in this car.
Yes, they did. DeLorean designed this before the GTO, and it was like a 50-50 weight distribution for the car, and it is a light car, unibody.
Right. Well, part of that had to do. Now, you couldn't put a lot of power through that drive line, that flexible drive line.
I'll tell you, it's taken a pretty good. I can really light the tires up on this car. You wouldn't believe how it.
A strong performer.
Oh yeah.
Okay. How long did they make the 326 engine? Do you know?
I'm not positive.
Because if memory serves me, it was only about 3 or 4 years.
I thought it was 3, but I'm not positive on that.
Okay. Anything I haven't noticed about your car you'd like the audience to know about?
No, it's just a fun car to drive, and it is
and different.
Yes, very different. You don't see too many functioning transaxles, and you'll see 64 GTOs, but you hardly ever see this vehicle.
Well, listen, thanks for spending a little bit of time with us. Chuck, show the audience the car. I see you're already on the car. Show the audience the car. This is one this preceded the GTO by 1 year, and I have a feeling kind of got lost under the thunder of the GTO, but not a bad choice.
A technically interesting car with a surprisingly short model run. Now let's shift gears to something that reminded Bill of his youth.
I don't know if the audience can hear in the background. Laura Volpe has now taken to the big stage, and she's doing the great Etta James song At Last again up there. Absolutely love to hear that in the background. Now, we came over to do this car for a very important, actually, as it turns out, for 2 important reasons. Most important reason to me personally is my family came to Chicago in 1955. We originally lived in upstate New York, and we came in 1955 in my father's 1949 Packard. That was so much like this one, except his was battleship gray, and if you peeled a little of the paint off of it, he's already showing that his was originally battleship gray also. Okay, Chuck, can you come in on that right here, up here? We'll hold it steady for you. You got that? He came and it was battleship gray, and if you peeled away the paint a little bit, there was gold underneath it. And the reason was it was a golden anniversary one for Packard Corporation, and it was they had 50 of them. They did it for a New York show or something, and then they painted them different colors and sold them off for the public. Anyway, a lot of old history. Eventually, I can tell you, for you folks in Chicago, you'll appreciate that. What eventually ended the car's life was he made a turn away from a bank that is no longer at Belmont and Lincoln. Belmont, Lincoln, and Ashland.
Oh.
And it was with Lakeview Savings Bank stuff. Okay, well, no, he made a left turn, went over the center island, and took the oil pan out, punched a hole in the oil pan, and that was the end of that car's life. And they're very hard to wreck. It was a tank. Anyhow, so this one brought back old memories. And there's another reason for doing this that I didn't realize going on, but first of all, you are.
Barbara Spielman.
And where are you from, Barbara?
Chicago.
And happy birthday.
Thank you.
And you are?
Glenn Rademacher.
From?
Chicago.
Okay.
North side.
Second part of this story that's also interesting is here's a man that apparently knows Gene Marmer very well.
Whoa.
And for our old Chicago guys that have been around.
Gene.
Absolutely. Gene Marmer. I'm trying to think who you compare him with.
If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be a banana now.
Well, you know what? I'm trying to think who we would compare him to today that the public would understand. AJ Foyt?
Oh.
He was that kind of a driver. Tougher than AJ. Dale Earnhardt, tougher than Dale.
You know, Martinelli really had a problem with him, and
he was
the desperado of O'Hare Field.
Okay, folks, you aren't going to understand anything what we're talking about. What we're talking about is the old O'Hare Stadium, which was a stock car track just south of O'Hare Field on Manheim Road. I started my stock car racing there when I was 17 years old, and when I went there with a cadet car, the big stars, you remember the cadet cars? The big stars were
Whitey Gherkin.
Whitey Gherkin, yes. Gene Marmer, yes. Bill Lutz, yes.
Oh, Lutz
and Martin Elliott Johnson. Remember those guys?
Oh, man, Johnson.
Okay, in any event, that's a lot.
Andy.
And you as a youngster, then were working in his car.
Yes, I was tortured. Yes.
Yes, tortured.
I was
me,
tortured.
right?
Yes.
Anyhow,
Tires,
Gene,
do this,
if
do
you're
that.
watching, trust me, none of us have forgotten. Great driver. It's a shame. It's a shame he's not driving today at his
Oh,
prime
he still
because
is.
he'd be a big NASCAR star. There's no doubt in my mind
he's
about
driving on the street.
Well, that's true.
Oh, no.
Okay, let's get the car. Tell us about the car.
Oh, it's a 49 Packard. I found this in, what do you call it? Auto Trader. I don't want to plug nobody, but it was for, what is it? 2100. Got it for 1800. It drove so good, and Gene drove it too. We look over the steering wheel, it drove straight, and I said, yeah, I'll take it.
Why did you specifically want this? You understand that very few people would be seeking out a 49 Packard.
It just seemed like a cool car.
They are cool cars, and I tell you something. My father hauled the U-Haul trailer and the whole family and the family dog all the way from New York State in it without problems.
It's a straight 8 flathead, 3-speed on the tree or on the column, and it's got overdrive. Man, it drives nice.
Oh, you got the overdrive version.
Oh,
that's cool. My dad didn't have the
Electric
overdrive.
and manual.
Yeah, no, that's cool. What do you use the car for?
Daily driver.
Really, use it all the time?
Yeah, why not?
Well, I don't know.
That's
Can
what cars are
can
for,
you,
aren't
but
they?
Can you still get parts for them?
No, I make everything.
Well, see if you can make them. Yeah, I guess you can keep it going then, huh? Have you had any problems at all?
Hanging around Gene Marmer, she'd learn how to make stuff, you know?
No question about it.
You don't see any
he didn't-
hose-
as
I mean,
I
muffler
understand, as I
clamps.
understand it, he didn't want to buy anything.
Oh, no, don't buy nothing. You make it.
Anyhow, listen, it's fun reminiscing about old times. And for those of you that remember the old O'Hare Stadium, you must remember Soldier Field is a stock car track. These guys all ran down there. And as a matter of fact, remember Sal
Let me
Tavello?
say a couple things. You know, the hood ornament, the guy wanted $800 for it, but Barbara's father passed away and he won this bowling trophy, so I thought it was a tribute to him, Herman.
A 1949 Packard original head ornament is going for $800.
That's what the guy told me. I said, you know, I don't need one that bad.
No, not $800.
But Dean gave me a couple old trophies. He said, here, take, the emblems off of that. And I said, you know something? Well, hold on. Barb's father was a nice guy, this guy Herman. He would have loved to have a car like this, but, he wasn't mechanical. So this is a tribute to Herman.
So we have a little bit of family history in here. Pull your camera shot back, Chuck. Show the audience a shot of the camera. This is a little nostalgia for the Motorsports Unlimited program. This is what Bill Wildt came to Chicago in 1955 at 12 years old.
Meanwhile, back at the main stage, Patty Elvis was working the crowd.
One night with you is what I'm now praying for. The things that we should have will make my dreams.
Well, I must admit, I didn't know what to expect when I heard there was a female. Is it fair to say Elvis impersonator? Is that appropriate or no?
It's fair to say female.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
Elvis impersonator, yes.
Yes, okay, I don't know anymore with all the technicalities, whether we have to say tribute show or whatever. But
Oh, you're right.
But whatever it is, it was wonderful. Please tell the folks who you are.
We're the Patty Elvis Band, and I'm Patty Elvis, and that's what I am. I'm a comic and an Elvis impersonator, and I'm having a great time.
Boy, you really lightened up the show. You did just a great job out there. Do you perform around the Chicago area at all?
We do. We play all kinds of nightclubs and events and parties, weddings, so you can check us out on our website, pattyelvis.com.
I'll tell you something. Terrific performance. I want to make sure we give the band some, and you are?
Dave Budrus from Evanston.
And?
Bill Bango from Oak Park.
And?
Scott Carson from Chicago.
Okay, the one thing I thought was really cool about this, and not that it's fine no matter how they do it, but usually the singers will come in and they'll have a tape running behind them and they'll play with the tape. You guys have your own band, do your own music.
They're fantastic. I couldn't do without them.
I'll tell you something, nicely done. We're going to get out of the way because they got more entertainment coming, folks.
My dreams. Always live very quiet life. I never did no wrong. I know that life without you has been too lonely, too long. One night with you is what I'm now praying for. The things that we two have had would make my dream come true.
Are you getting the idea that car shows are fun? Then you understand completely. And by the way, you don't have to be a car guy to enjoy them.
I found one and a half of the most important people at this car show today. And I want to remind the audience that we're at the Lincoln Park Savings Bank Car Show. This is an annual event, and boy, you'll have to check our website to keep track of the date. I don't know if it's the same every year, but it's about the same every year. And we're in the heart of the north side of Chicago at Lincoln Avenue, Irving Park Road, or Route 19. If you remember the little piece that I did on the motorcycle trip exploring Route 19, we're on Route 19 or Irving Park Road, and Lincoln and Damon, I believe. Am I correct? Have I got it right?
In Irving Park, I think.
In Irving Park, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I hope I got that halfways right. Otherwise, I can edit it, believe me. First of all, you are.
I'm Pat Hawk.
And where are you from, Pat?
I'm from Chicago.
And you are?
I'm Pat Lewandowski.
Okay, Pat. Now, the reason I said one and a half, you're the one half, because I was looking for people that had nothing to do with cars or a car show, and I saw you two guys poring over the cars, and then come to find out your son has a car here.
Yes, he does.
What does he got?
He's got a 57
you better
Buick
know.
convertible.
Okay, 50.
Red and white.
Okay, so you're sort of a car person, sort of.
Well, I get to see it often and see how much work he does on this car.
Oh, it's a ton of work, isn't it?
Yes. I go underneath the car and look at it there too.
Because he makes you?
Yeah, he said, well, Mom, you should look under the car because it's really interesting on there. It's so clean.
And of course, moms will always do that.
I do.
Okay. How about yourself? You're not a car person. You're not.
This is kind of my maiden voyage with the show, but I'm so amazed because I notice how much patience and how much intricacy this is. I mean, I'm overwhelmed by what these guys do.
You know, I am so proud of the motorsport community. I've been part of it my entire life, and what I say all the time, it is the hardest working, most creative, most talented, most unrewarded part of our society, and it's really a shame. So you're kind of underlining it. You're not familiar, and you're amazed at what these guys build.
I'm amazed. I'm absolutely. I wish my kitchen were as clean.
Well, I will tell you something. If the more you look at these cars, the more you'll see. We just looked at one a little while ago, a 34 Ford Coupe that a father and son, their first car project built in 17 months, and it is the equal of any show car in the country, and just awesome. So have you looked around the entire show, or are you just here?
Pretty much. We didn't get all the way around.
Because you know there's 3 lots. This is lot 2. Yeah, this is lot 2. Okay. That's lot 1, and lot 3 is 1 block over there.
This way.
Well, you take a look at that 34, and there's many other. I don't mean to, but that one just blew me away because it was a father-son, built it themselves, and it is absolutely exquisite. Now, what appeals to you? Is it the paints, the graphics, the chrome? What?
Some of the graphics. If the graphics are a little more simple, that simple elegance, and whatever, no rust, and some of them nothing. I'm telling you, I'm overwhelmed. I don't know how they can touch every single base.
Well, I will tell you something. If you want to really enjoy the car shows, look at what they call the build books. Many of the guys will have a group of pictures with their car of what they started with and how it progressed. And if you're impressed now, you're going to be really impressed when you see they start with these rusted hulks and in a couple of years turn them into these exquisite, beautiful cars. Pretty impressive.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And how about your son? Did he build his car or what?
Yes, he did.
Okay, we're going to see if we can find it. If not, I'll put a picture over our conversation. I want to thank you guys for spending a little time with us. I'm glad you're enjoying the car show. Again, exhibit 1.5 or A.5, however you want to do it. One totally un-car show and motorsport related, one kind of with a son, motorsport, but both of them really enjoying the show today. And I just wanted you to say, come on out, it's fun. You don't have to be a car person to enjoy a car show.
Seems to me Janine just said that, but it bears repeating. We would like everyone to come to the car shows. Now let's check out something completely different.
Well, here's what we're going to call this one from now on when I cover one of these. This is a blast from the past, and I can't believe I'm saying that. Oldsmobile is no more. My entire life, Oldsmobile was like Sara Lee. It's something that everybody knew about, everybody understood, Olds and all that, and I cannot believe that General Motors picked the Olds nameplate to go away. Anyhow, maybe that's why they're in trouble. I don't know. First of all, you are?
Theodis Rods.
And where are you from?
Markham, Illinois.
And?
April Dockery.
Okay,
Markham, Illinois.
Now, on Motorsports Unlimited, if we can do it, we only talk with the pretty girls. Can you tell me about the car, or do I have to talk to him?
I guess I could tell you about the car.
Tell me what you got here.
I got a 1971 Oldsmobile, Delta 88, a convertible, I guess.
And what have you done with it?
You got to talk to him about it.
Yeah, I know. We always end up talking to the guys. Look how big this guy is, and I'm teasing him. Have I got, tell us, but what have you done?
I just did the rims, paint job, interior, custom sounds.
Okay, Chuck, before you go, I want you to get down on the front wheels. And these are how big? That's huge.
22 inches.
You were able to get those in, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, and how much work did you do on the sound system?
About $3,200.
Oh, a lot of money.
Yeah.
A lot of money. You like music?
Yeah, loud music.
Loud music. Okay. Chuck, I want you to pull your camera shot full wide because there's another point that I want to make here about this is, once again, I don't know how the Lincoln Park Savings Bank pulls this off, but they do this right in the heart of the north side of Chicago. Show the buildings behind. This looks like a 6-flat behind it, or 3-flat, something like that. We've got a 2 or 3-flat over here. This is homes where people live, and somehow these guys at the Lincoln Park Savings Bank pull this off, get permission from everybody, and get it. It's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, it's cool because you don't see a lot of car shows in Chicago, so I think that's pretty cool. Now, is there anything about your car that I haven't noticed that you're proud of that you'd like to tell the audience about?
It's just nice.
It's just nice? Okay. Let me.
It's gonna belong to my son.
It's going to belong to your son?
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm going to show you how are you familiar with our show?
No.
Okay, I got to do this then. I'm going to ask you to stand right over here because we're done with the guy now. I'm going to ask the lady to move forward. Chuck, you know what I'm going to do? Like this, stop there. I want you to look at our camera, and I'd like you to say,
Don't go away, folks. We'll be right back.
While Bill and Chuck were checking out the cars, Patty Elvis was still working the crowd.
Yeah, who's the freaky lady in the Elvis suit?
If we hurry, we can squeeze in one more vehicle. And I think it might be the first time for a motorcycle at the Lincoln Park Savings Bank show.
folks, this looks for all the world like a hardtail, but it's not. It actually has a full suspension in it, pretty cleverly disguised, but that's not the most important part about this particular piece. Most important part about this particular piece is the builder is from right here in the Chicago area. In fact, I think they're called Northside Choppers, and we've talked about this on Motorsports Unlimited before because everybody gets used to the Tuttles that are from New York and other companies from California, and I say over and over and over again, we have the very best chopper builders right here in the Midwest, and you can see their work. In fact, I think even the TV shows are recognizing this, and they're doing a lot of guys from the Midwest now too, because we've got some of the very best. Now, I met this fellow before. I was in an auto parts store picking up some pieces. He recognized me from the show. We started talking, and I says, yeah, bring it out to a car show. I'd like to show off your work. First of all, you are?
Desperado from Northside Choppers.
And you are?
Steve Rail from Northside Choppers.
And on this end down here, you are?
Brandon Busey from Northside Choppers.
And what do you do with the bike?
I just started.
You just started with him? How about yourself? Everything your work?
Most of it. Tanks, fenders, exhausts, rear swing arm.
Okay, give us a thumbnail sketch real quickly. I want you to start with the gas tank. Chuck, frame that up if you would. Tell me what you did there.
What we did is we took a standard fat bob set of tanks. We chopped the back end off of them, added a stretch cap in here, but we made it full flowing, so gas is actually going all the way back to here.
Okay, coming down from that, you've got the air cleaner. I understand also your work?
No, the air cleaner actually came from another source. What we did also was exhaust.
Okay, hold on. Let's Chuck it down to the exhaust. Chuck, frame up the exhaust. What'd you do there?
Fab those from scratch. We started with just plain old muffler exhaust, brand new. We bent them and everything, welded them all together to where we thought looked good, and had them chromed.
Right here locally in Chicago?
Right here. We've done it in our shop.
I think it's just great. I want you to come back here to give a little explanation of the hardtail, softtail.
Well, it's a softtail wide tire kit that we do in-house. This one's set up for a 250 millimeter tire, which is wider than your average stock tire. We fabbed that using everything from a bender to TIG welding it. I mean, we did it all. I
understand that you had this fender support all done with a water jet.
Yeah, it was done on a flow jet.
Flow jet, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was done on a flow jet, which is water with abrasive shot at Mach 3 speed.
It's awesome. You come out with a part that you don't have to spend hours to work on.
Exactly.
Pretty cool. And what does this started out as?
It started out as a 99 Fat Boy.
I'll tell you something. You did a great job on it. I mean, you know, we only talked for about 5 minutes at the auto parts store, and his enthusiasm overwhelmed me. And I said, "You're right here in this area." And he says, "Yeah, we've been here for how long?"
Well, we're actually in North Lake, and we've been doing that there for, 4 years now.
4 years, and this is the first time I've met these guys. Anyhow, my cameraman is holding up the stopwatch. We've got to go. Chuck, frame up the bike and the guys, if you would. And I want to remind the audience, some of the very best choppers in the world are built right here in the Chicagoland area.
Motorcycles, music, cars, trucks, and of course, people. All the ingredients needed to make a fun afternoon. Unfortunately, as always, we're out of time too soon, with only enough left to acknowledge the fine work of our award-winning production team, including Chuck Itzenthaler, Sue Kazanda, our webmaster, Frank Barbalaise, Rena Borwitz, and Tom McGrady. Special thanks to JBTV's Jerry Bryant. Music is created for us by independent artists Roger Pauley and Jerry Herbert. Of course, we have to take a moment to thank the stars of this edition of Motorsports Unlimited: Janine Lauschat, Patty Borwitz, and our host, Bill Wildt. Me, I'm Samantha Bentley, congratulating the Lincoln Park Savings Bank on the 2006 edition of their car show. It was the best one yet, and we can hardly wait for next year. Thanks for watching. See you next week.
This program made possible in part by support from J.C. Whitney & Company, located just off I-80 at the Utica exit in LaSalle, Illinois.
This program made possible in part by support from Jimmy's Red Hots, located on Grant Avenue and Pulaski Road in Chicago.
This program made possible in part by support from the Chicagoland Toys for Tots Motorcycle Parade, held on Western Avenue in Chicago, the first Sunday in December.
Motorsports Unlimited is produced by Bill Wildt, President of the Motorsport Advancement Crusade.
This program made possible in part by support from ABC Auto Parts, located on Ashland Avenue at 138th Street in Blue Island, Illinois.
This program made possible in part by support from Bridgestone Firestone and your local Bridgestone Firestone tire retailers.
This program made possible in part by support from Copy That, located in the County Farm Plaza at County Farm Road and Army Trail Road in Carroll Stream, Illinois. This program made possible in part by support from PB Food Products, located on 47th Street at Western Avenue in Chicago, Illinois. Motorsports Unlimited was created to raise public consciousness, understanding, and appreciation of the motorsport community and their activities. You can contact us by email at msutv.com, or you can write to Motorsport, P.O. Box 66242, Chicago, Illinois, 60666. We enjoy hearing from our audience. Please let us know what you think.
Next week on Motorsports Unlimited, it's the annual Bill K. Corvette Show, hosted by the Windy City Corvette Club. We'll have 427 L88s, and we'll have 427 Z06s. We'll have historic vets, and we'll have Route 66 cruising vets, solid axle, mid-year, and the very latest world-class Le Mans champion vets, all to raise money for a great cause, all next week on Motorsports Unlimited.
So that's it, another edition of Motorsports Unlimited and the lovely ladies of motorsports. And be with us next week because we'll have something real exciting. Bill Wildt's going to have the lovely ladies, and just about anything can happen right here on Motorsports Unlimited. Every week at this time, we bring you the best in motorsports. So be seeing ya. Bye-bye. And keep on rocking.